Tomorrow's full moon is in Taurus, and it is the continuation of a theme that began on November 8th of 2022. Now, this specific theme is all around the father wound in particular. And I remember during that time for me, I don't necessarily identify with a father wound, but what I do identify is with a patriarchy wound. And I think that any feminine who is healing experiences this. And any masculine who is healing their divine feminine is also experiencing this. And if you have any questions about what that means, send me a DM. I'm happy to walk you through it. But on November 8th, there was a lunar eclipse in Taurus, and it kicked off a cycle that is going to be for the next 2 years. I remember on that day, I wanted to think about how do I want to tackle my patriarchal wound. And what I ended up doing was I did a reverse baptism. On that day, I wrote down all of the things that I wanted to take back on my own. The first thing being being baptized into the Catholic faith. I don't identify with it. And I think that it is a major part of the historical problem that organized religion brings. But I reversed that baptism and I took it back. And I also reversed all of the toxicity and abuse that my Catholic school education had brought on. A lot of the Catholic nuns in my school, not all of them, but majority of them were very physically abusive. And all of the priests in my high school often made a lot of queer jokes. I think they were both queer and they were just trying to throw us off. But also my diocese was a part of the ring that was responsible for pedophile priests being redistributed into the higher East Coast, Northern East Coast. I let go of all of that. Another thing I let go was what men have taught me to expect of myself, how I show up for masculines. I let go of how I should look, appear, speak, all of those things. Anything that I was taught about myself that made it so that I had to fit into a box growing up and also becoming an adult, I released that as well. That was the beginning of my releasing of the patriarchal wound that I tie to me. That wound is different for everybody, and I want you to think about doing some work around it if you're going to do some magic around this lunation. But it was beginning of that. This moon is going to be a little bit woolier, and it has like kind of like an Aries theme to it, only because Uranus is conjunct with this moon, and Uranus is a planet of chaos and destruction. And so basically that means that some fuck shit is going to be going down around this new moon. There is also a transit of Pluto officially going into Aquarius on the 19th. So within 4 days of each other, there's a lot of shit that is going to be going down. I want to call it shenanigans, but to be honest with you, people's lives are at stake at this point. And to call it a shenanigan would be making it light, making light of it. We are living in a time where, bigotry, racism, misogyny, abuse, everything that you can possibly, xenophobia, transphobia, all of those things are coming to light right now. But that said, this lunation is teasing up what started on the 8th. And I want to do a card pull around how to come into it. So this is funny. So I'm just like, I gotta not look at my cards like when I'm pulling them. But the first one that came up was King of Pentacles, which is basically the daddy of the deck. This is the father figure of the deck. Now, this is more of a positive construct of what it should be. Pentacles are about self-worth. The King of Pentacles is the embodiment of that. But I believe that it's like, what I'm getting from the card is as you deal and navigate with the energy coming from this lunation, specifically tomorrow, I want you to focus on your father wound turning from a negative to a positive, if that is the case, or how can you alchemize your patriarchy wound? And that is something I've been dealing with a lot this week. How can you navigate your rage and your frustration around what is currently happening in our country, the United States right now? How do you turn so much lack and just ugly around you into something really positive. And also, like, King of Pentacles is a leader. It's like, how do you become the leader in your life? Now I will say this: your challenge is going to be the Two of Cups. Now, the Two of Cups is an otherwise sweet card, but when I read this card intuitively, I want you to ask yourself and do some journaling, maybe some automatic writing around this. How much of your identity is tied to this wound? If I am talking about a father wound, how much of your self-worth or the lack thereof or identity, or, you know, how does that wound manifest to that initial trauma? Or with the patriarchy, how much of your identity is tied to it? You know, something really funny is growing up, I was showed and taught that having any weight on you was, it wasn't about health, but it's like, if you weren't skinny, you weren't successful. And it didn't matter, you know, how much money you made, how much, how brilliant you were, how much education you had. It didn't matter, like, any of that. It mattered about what you looked like. And if you didn't look or fit into an archetype of what society navigated, you were a mess, or you were less than savory. And I did a lot of work around that one for me, but that is a patriarchal construct. It is a construct of the patriarchy and controlling the divine feminine to tell us, you know, to make us worry about our weight, right? And when I figured out how many hours, days, and energy I wasted worrying about that shit, when I could have been really taking over the world, I switched my mindset right away, okay? That was a big part of my reverse baptism. I'm not saying that everyone should do one, but I will just say that mine was pretty empowering. Now, looking at a positive version or a positive archetype, you know, of a positive father figure, a positive leader, letting go of that patriarchal construct, you're left with the best parts of yourself, right? But the challenge is, what parts of yourself are tied to that identity? What parts of your identity are tied to whatever this wound is that we're talking about? I love this so much. Six of Swords, I just pulled this for myself this morning, but Six of Swords is, finally, if you face all of those things and embody that energy in this lunation, you will be done. See these crows flying away for the last time. See these swords turning down. Battle is over. See these clouds parting. You're done. You're done with whatever it is, however this wound manifests in your life. You're finished. But you have to do a lot of work to get to that point. And I will say this, is that we are in a very challenging time to tackle this, but what a better time to handle this kind of chaos, unless you're like immersed, like, you know, tits deep into it, right? The last thing I want to leave you with is, I would be very much on guard with guarding your energy, guarding your yourself against any kind of fights or confrontation that may come up. Now, I said this moon feels like an Aries moon, an Aries full moon, only because that Uranus conjunction is going to be fucking some stuff up, and it's going to be firing up miscommunication. It's going to be firing up people. A lot of people, I mean, I've been feeling this for a long time, but a lot of people are just like wanting to fight and get their aggression out. Take the higher road, be the bigger person. Be the bigger person that you want to be. That is how you combat and move through this energy. But this moon is going to be really intense. So go for a walk, breathe, self-care, all of those things. But I want you to think about something really revolutionary. If you didn't start a cycle on November 8th of 2022 to combat this energy, now is the time to do it. Now is the time to create a revolution within yourself and divest yourself of this identity that the patriarchy has constructed within you. I am here to support. If you have any questions about my reading, let me know. Good luck, and definitely stay safe out there. But like I said, like make some time for yourself this weekend to come up with your own inner revolution, and then also like do some self-care around it. So breath work, walking, pull some tarot, whatever you got to do, woo-saw that shit right the fuck out. Take care.